I'm Scott Grove from Imagine Grove, and in this episode I'm going to show you how to make veneer repairs with a cloud punch. And in addition, I'm going to show you how to make a cloud punch, because these cloud punches can get quite pricey. And with some simple electrical conduit, you can make your own, and you can also make them in any sizes, because store-bought cloud punches only come in a variety of sizes, and they may not always suit your needs. So let me show you how to do that. The first thing is, when I'm working with veneer, I obviously inspect the veneer, and you might have some open holes or knots that you may not like, and you want to get rid of them. So they can be an eyesore. So a cloud punch is a very easy and fast way to do that. So in many cases, these store-bought cloud punch cutters don't suit the bill. They're just the wrong size, and they're quite pricey. So what I found is I simply make my own. And I typically make them out of EMT, which is electrical conduit. You can get this at a big box store, or a friend might have some lying around. Comes in a variety of sizes, from 1/2 inch all the way up to, boy, 3 inches. But usually somewhere between 1 inch to 2 inches works just fine. And you can configure these in a variety of ways to suit the shape of your knot or your blemish that you want to cut out. They're very fast to make. And again, keep in mind, you're not making a fine chisel here. You're cutting through a piece of veneer, which is typically a 42nd of an inch thick. You don't have to have a super sharp edge. I mean, I go for a nice sharp edge. You don't have to temper, although I have. It didn't really make that much of a difference. And I can make 2 or 3 cuts, no problem. If it gets dull, I sharpen it up again, and you're good to go. In a pinch, I've used copper pipe. I've even used them, made them out of PVC pipe. So very fast, very easy to make, and you save a lot of money for not much effort. So let me show you how to make that. So the tools you're going to need, very simple. You just obviously need your steel pipe, variety of sizes. You can use a file, although I like to use a Dremel tool. I typically use 2 types of cutters, a more aggressive grinding burr, and then either a sanding grinding stone, or actually what I use are these diamond impregnated sharpening bits, if you will. They're rubber, they got diamond in them, and they sharpen it really, really well. You'll need a ball peen hammer, or even a sledgehammer. It's nice to have some sort of sharper point on it, so you can kind of really get in and make a 4-leaf clover, if you will. An anvil, or you can pound on a vise, or even your bench. I usually just have a piece of steel that I use, and I'll be pounding on that. This is 1.5 inch pipe, which probably is good. I maybe could go to a little smaller, but I'm going to stick with a larger size here. And before you shape this pipe, it's much easier to sharpen this while it's still sort of round, because I can get in here and really kind of go quickly, as opposed to having to shape my cloud and then going in and trying to work all these various contours. So it's a lot easier to sharpen it while it's still round, and then we'll deform it. So I'm getting pretty close here. One common mistake is not to sharpen enough, and a good way to see that is just look at this very top edge, and if you can see a little shiny spot, there's one over here too. See how there's a little flat edge there, and the light's reflecting off it. Over here, there's no light reflecting off it, and that's come to a nice sharp point. Although I've actually sharpened a little too much, and keep in mind, this is cheap steel. So let me see if I can get an angle here. You can see that it's actually breaking off, creating sort of a sawtooth. As long as you don't go too far with that, it won't be a problem. But you do want to have a nice, as sharp of edge as you can. So I'm going to do a little more cleaning up on this, and then we'll go ahead and we will deform it. Actually, when I was teaching this course in Scotland, apparently their conduit is cheaper, and you can see the weld here actually wasn't as strong as our good American steel, and this actually broke open. There's sort of a notch here. I actually was still able to make this work, believe it or not. I mean, there's a little piece there that didn't cut through the veneer, but I can go in and cut that with a knife, and it's still faster, sort of a long run. But obviously you want to buy American steel. So here I am there. I'm ready to go. Take my ball peen hammer and kind of just sort of start deforming it. important to try to make this as asymmetrical as possible. You want to avoid making something, pounding all four sides and just making it sort of still square with little round edges. That's not good. You want to try to make it as irregular as possible. Obviously, this is taking it to the extreme. And then again, you want to think about your repair. You also want to avoid hitting the very edge. If you hit the very edge, you're going to risk rolling this over. So that's what actually happened on here, is it rolled over. So when you're hitting this, hit back here. Don't hit right on the edge. That will still deform this shape. But by hitting back here, you'll be much better. But that's a pretty interesting shape. It's irregular, and it'll certainly encompass my knot that I have. Now, one thing you want to notice here is that when you deform these, you take them out of flat. Like if I pounded this in really, really deep, this is going to then drop in. And I'm actually pretty good. Well, you can see a little light there, a little gap right there, okay? But that's not a problem. I could go ahead and, I could put this on sandpaper and file this down to make this perfectly flat, and then go back in and resharpen those areas. And for more extreme ones, for example, when I did this really became not flat at all. So I, in fact, had to reflatten that. But for simple cloud shapes like this, you really don't have to worry about that, even if it does curve a little bit. You're going to pound into a soft backer. Now here, I'm just going to go back in after I pound it, and I'm just going to give it one quick sharpening with my sharpening rubber diamond impregnated thingy here. Maybe you want to sharpen the outside just a little bit, takes the burr off. So there we go. That's not bad. I got a nice sharp edge on there. It's not a quality chisel by any means, but I guarantee that'll do the trick. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Put this in place. Mark. Now, since there's only sort of an open area, I could try hitting this on its side. Or sometimes you can balance a block on there and just give it a whack like that. And if you're not sure, you could definitely want to kind of look around. I have had to do that a couple times. And to pull it out, I'll put my pencil down here and work the perimeter. Now this is a good example of, so this corner, but right there, you see that's where I over sharpened. So there's a little gap there. Consequently, it didn't cut all the way through, but that's really not a problem. I can simply take an X-Acto knife and finish scoring that line. And there you go. So now what I want to do is the same sort of thing, is take another piece of veneer, slide it around underneath, and find something that works. Looks pretty good there. Again, if you want to trace this for an exact alignment. So that's how you do it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to receive more tips on veneering and shop hacks and interesting tours and who knows what I post, please sign up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Imagine Grove. I've also written a comprehensive book on veneering. So shameless plug, if you'd like to pick that up. It's called Advanced Veneering and Alternative Techniques. It sounds real complicated, and when I was writing it, it was about my asymmetrical matching. But then when I started writing the book, I was like, well, where do I start? If you don't understand what book matching is, how can you understand asymmetrical matching? So I kind of kept going backwards. Before you know it, I wrote an entire book on how veneer is made, from inspection, repair, which covers in this, seaming, tape, core, glue, you name it, it covers it. And the last chapter is dedicated to my award-winning spiral match, which is really fun. There you go. It's quick, easy. I want to say the entire process took me, about 20 minutes to make and repair, probably less because I've been mucking around with the cameras and whatnot. But thanks again for taking a look. Please ask me any questions. I try to answer all my questions and emails, and we'll see you next time.